Welcome to Transform and Thrive. I'm your host, Jessalin Lam, and this series is about uncovering the stories of transformation, resilience, and growth that inspire us to embrace change and thrive in our lives. So, in each episode, I sit down with trailblazers who have turned challenges into opportunities, and they share their pivotal lessons and mindset shifts that have led to their transformation. Today's guest is Chanel Hemphill, who is a data driven health equity strategist with deep roots in community activism, cross cultural marketing, and digital strategy. She spent 15 years in marketing career infusing equitable data and engagement strategy across payer, finance, and pharma clients. And in 2024, Chanel was selected as one of the 30 ADCOLOR leaders across media and creative industry. And the ADCOLOR Leaders program is meant to support historically excluded professionals in creative industries as they rise to executive roles. She also founded the mobile app Pep Talks and Prayers with a community of more than 400 subscribers that provide daily encouragement in the form of pep talks, prayers, and affirmations. So, whether you're navigating a challenge or seeking motivation to take the next step, you'll find so much inspiration today. And let's dive in. Welcome, Chanel.
First of
Oh,
all, first off, let me get off mute. Thank you
no.
so much, Jess. I appreciate the introduction and just for you having me here today. I'm excited to talk to you. One of my favorite people. So it's
Yes,
great to
yes.
be here.
We are so lucky to be colleagues and now lifelong friends. Great. So I'll dive into the first question about transformation. Can you share a significant challenge or turning point in your life that became a catalyst for your transformation?
So I think there are multiple, right, like situations that happen throughout your life, but the most significant was losing my mother. I lost my mother when I was 19 years old and in college, a freshman in college. And so that time period was very challenging for me, a time when I should have been like celebrating, right? Like most college students
Mhm.
are 18, 19-year olds are excited that they're about to go strike out on with life on their own. I was very excited. I grew up in the west side of Chicago. And so going to college, like honestly, was just like a huge thing. Like it was my mother's pride. My baby's going to college. So it was something that I took pride in, going to college at that time.
Mhm.
But I was also excited to get from under my mother's thumb because I had a very strict mother. So that was one of the most pivotal moments, honestly, in my life, and it still impacts me to this day.
Thank you for sharing that. And I can't even imagine. So, like, even when you're going through this challenge, I'm curious to hear, like, what was the biggest challenge you faced during this period and how did you overcome it?
Well, in terms, I think it's a when you lose a parent, someone that is so close to you. My mother was a single mother at the time. I had two siblings, my brother, who was 13 at the time, and my sister, who was one at the time. We lost a lot. So we lost our mother. So obviously, the matriarch of our family. We lost our financial covering. We lost our spiritual covering. And my family was split up. I was split up from my brother, and I was split up from my sister as well. And then I decided to go back to college. So the biggest challenge there was not only did I lose my mother, I lost my foundation, in which meant I had to create a new foundation for myself. Trying to create that at 19 years old, as you can imagine,
Mhm.
is it's not the easiest thing, especially while you're mourning, right? Like, so one of the biggest challenges and ways that I came over that challenge is community will be the first thing that I would say. Well, no, I would say faith is the first thing. Community is the second.
Mhm.
I am a faith-filled believer for sure, and that is how I was raised. My grandmother got me in church early. I went to church on my own as a teenager. But it's one thing to just go to church, right? I really have a relationship with God, and I have a relationship with others that have a relationship with God. So I really think faith is one of the main reasons that helped me overcome that, because I just knew that God had something greater for me, even if I was going through one of the most challenging times of my life. And then community was the second piece of it, is that I went to college and I didn't know anybody. I didn't go to college with any friends. I went to college by myself, solo dolo. And that freshman year, I had only been there for the first semester. The break of the first semester into the second semester, my mom passed. I had met so many amazing people, Jess. So
Mhm.
many amazing um, teens, early young adults, right? And the way that they covered me during that time period of my mourning and trying to figure things out is something that should be studied in history books, quite honestly, because for those individuals who also came from challenging backgrounds to be so empathetic and caring for me at that time when I was I'm not gonna say I was the easiest person to deal with. I was not the easiest person to deal with at that time. I was not. I know I was not. But they really cared about me so much. So community and faith, that's how I continue to overcome. Because I don't say I overcame anything, right? Because life is a journey, and I'm still on that journey.
Mhm. I'm really glad to hear that you had such great people and connections because community is so important. And then also with your faith, it also sounds like you have such a positive mindset when you think about this, which I know the healing takes time, it's lifelong. I'm curious to hear when it comes to your mindset, like what were mindset shifts or realizations that helped you move forward as you continue to grow?
Yeah, no, that's good. Mindset shifts. I think it's proper preparation, right? I think proper
Mhm.
preparation, I've heard proper preparation prevents poor performance, right? I had been preparing for this. My mother had been preparing me for this. I'm the oldest daughter, I'm the oldest granddaughter. I always kind of had another responsibility of being a leader, like within my family
Mhm.
and among my younger cousins. And so when you are a leader, you are a first to deal with a lot of things. You don't always have someone to go to ask questions. You spend a lot of time figuring things out on your own. Again, that's why I think faith comes into that space, because I'm like, who else can I go to besides God?
Mhm.
The other piece of that from a mindset perspective is that my mom was old school, which is like many of our parents, old school. She didn't talk about a lot of difficult topics, but if she didn't talk about it, she would buy me a book on it. My mother bought me so many Chicken Soup for the Soul books. I don't know if you know about this. I had
Yeah.
so many Chicken Soup for the Soul books. She bought
Did
me
you actually
books.
read it?
Yes, I love to read. So that's how
Oh, I
that
love
was one
that.
of our connections. We love to read. And so I love stories and I love these
Mhm.
inspirational stories, right? So she bought me all of these books, or she just bought me stories and novels about people overcoming. Everything that
Mhm.
she bought, I didn't know it. Like, I didn't know it at the time,
Yeah.
but she had obviously gone through things and maybe wish somebody would have talked to her about there is a light at the end of the tunnel, no matter what you're going through. So she always like invested these positive stories into me. She always told me that I was beautiful. I think that was one thing that my mother did for me. I didn't know why she was telling me. She would tell me I was beautiful, but I had a stink attitude. I mean, I was intimidated that I was young. You know how kids are.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things. She made sure that I went out to the in the world educated, that I knew that someone loved me, that I knew that I could overcome anything with God and through determination. And so those are the things that I have used to condition myself. I call it willful delusion, because sometimes you just have to be a little delusional about life to survive it, quite honestly. And I have used that in multiple stages of my life, probably to my disadvantage sometimes, but that's okay. Whatever works for me.
That's it's so beautiful, and I feel like I'm almost getting a little bit emotional because I have a three-year-old daughter, and just hearing how your mom has helped prepare you for just being successful and being able to lead on your own, and that's why I love having guests like you as trailblazers because you're leading with, like, no direction and being that pioneer and creating a new path that didn't exist, and it's really great to hear that you've had that support from your mom too, and I can't even imagine, like, all the learning lessons at the time must have been difficult to reflect, but now reflecting back on that, I would love to hear like what were some of those moments of failure along the way? Because I know we all have so many. The most important thing is what are we learning from that? So how did you learn from those experiences?
Yeah, one of the things that I learned from my time at Second City. So I was a marketing director over at Second City, and they had a approach that was called yes and. Yes and
Mhm.
is a mantra about like there are no wrong answers, right? Like you don't turn down anything. You yes and it. You add to it. You build to it. And so another piece of that yes and mantra is failing fast, is that you hurry up and figure it out so you can fail and so you can find the right answer. And so I feel like I was well equipped to fail fast. It may I am comfortable failing. That is one of my superpowers, is that I am actually really comfortable failing. And I think that I am comfortable failing because I know I have identity beyond just what an award is or my accomplishments within a corporate environment. Like I know I have value beyond that. If I had none of it, I would still be valuable. And so one area that I failed is college. I failed. I think I did a lot of failing. So when I first went to college, I was an engineering student. So I had an engineering scholarship.
Oh,
And that is how I started off. I've always been curious about technology. I've always been curious about data. And so because I was curious about data and technology and computers and all of those things, I was like, sure, I'll be an engineer. Let's just say I wanted to be an engineer, but engineering didn't want me. That's how I would like to put that. And I just quickly learned that I wouldn't be happy. I wouldn't be fulfilled within that space. I do have a creative side to me, right? And the not saying that engineers are not creative. I'm sure there are hundreds and thousands and millions of engineers that are creative, but the thought of sitting behind a computer and crunching numbers and not seeing a
mhm.
thing come to life. I had not seen that. And I hadn't seen an example of that, of what that could look like from a creative perspective. So I quickly learned that those engineering math classes were not for me. And this was going to be a long 4 years if I stuck to that. So I changed my major. This actually happened after my mom passed. So remember having a conversation with my mom. I wanted to go into journalism at first. She was like, "You're not going into journalism because you're not going to make any money." And so I was like, "Well, I mean, because I really love to write, and
Yeah.
yeah." And I was like, "Well, I really love to dance too. Maybe I'll go to school for dance." She was like, "You're definitely not going to school for dance." So I ended up in engineering, and that took me on a path to marketing. And so marketing, it has strategy. You use both sides of your brain. You're able to work with creative people, analytical people at the same time. There's so much science
Mhm.
that goes behind marketing, but there's the creative component and output of it as well. So that is where I landed on in terms of failure within that space. So it helped me fail forward, quite honestly. Like it was a blessing where I started to see, okay, you're creative, you do like to dance, okay, you like data and technology, but then how do you weave that into the creative side of you? People always are coming to you for ideas. People are always coming to you to promote things. So how can you leverage that? And it was like I was a natural marketer anyway, right? So this is where that's where it led me to. So failed out of engineering, leaned into marketing, and obviously that's been working. It's been working well for me so far.
I love that. It's such a beautiful story and also good for people to see that you can pivot and change and create. There's options out there. So you explored and discovered it and then found something you fell in love with.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, so we talked a lot about you having support from community, which is really great. And I'm curious to hear like who or what supported you during this transformation. And then even for people listening, if they're looking for community, like what helped you see the benefit of that or how you found community for you?
Yeah, no, that's good. Like I mentioned before, is that in college, this group of amazing individuals, compassionate individuals that kind of just, roped their arms around me during that very challenging time. I found those individuals because there was a campus dance team. So there was a campus dance
Oh.
team and there was a tryout. And so I
Mhm.
went to the tryout. Again, I didn't know anybody, but like I said, I love to dance. So I had my engineering community because if you know anything about engineering, engineers, they are in packs. Like you need to be in a pack to pass an engineering program. So I had my engineering friends. But then like I had this other piece of me, right? Like that was dancing and I wanted a creative outlet. So I tried
Mhm.
out and I made the team and I met all these amazing people. And it's like 20 20 people, right?
Mhm.
That became my community and they had such rich stories that they had gone through, like, and many of them had lost their parent, and I felt like it was a divine alignment moment. Is that I feel like, and I'm trying not to get emotional, I feel like when I talk about my friends, they are just, these are 20 plus year friends now,
That's
and
amazing.
never fell out with anybody. We could have arguments and we would come back. I apologize. It's such a rich friendship bond that we have, that it's almost hard to explain because I know a lot of people don't necessarily have those types of friendships. But going back to there is that they had, many members of that team had lost their parents. And it was a
Mhm.
divine alignment moment where I felt like God had placed those people in my path to give me hope, right?
Mhm.
Hope
Yep.
that I could overcome, that I can live without this, that I could laugh again, that I could dance again during that time period. And so that was one area of community while I was in college, because I didn't leave college. My mother passed and I went back to college, which probably wasn't the smartest thing to do. But again, it was what I knew to do. Right. And I actually had the conversation with my aunt, who has since passed as well. Um, I was like, well, I'm going to help you take care of Brianna, which is my little sister. My aunt
Mhm.
got custody of Brianna. And I was like, I'm going to help you take care of Brianna. I'm going to drop out of school and I'm going to come back to Chicago. And she was like, no. She said, no. Um, Ooh, she was like, no, and she sent me back. We had found, my mother had this beautiful brown jewelry box,
Mhm.
and we had found the mortgage money in the jewelry box. It was the cash for the mortgage in the jewelry box. And so we had found it during the time period we were planning a funeral. And I'm saying this is going somewhere because this is about my community. I'm going into family community now and how it all worked together. We found the money in the jewelry box and we were trying to scrap up money to bury my mother. And I found it, as a matter of fact, I found it. And I immediately came and took it to my aunt and I said, hey, I found some money. It's like, I don't know, I think it was like $1,500. I was like, let's take this and use that towards the funeral. And she
Mhm.
was like, no, baby, you take the money because I don't know when the next time you are going to get support. And
Mhm.
it was like such a moment of, for her and for me, that was like, your support system is gone. This is all you have. We can't even, we were in a place where we couldn't bury her, that we didn't have money to bury my mother, you
Mhm.
know? And my aunt, who is like my second mother, was like, we'll figure this out. But you take that because you need to eat, you need to travel, you need to do whatever. And she said, you go back to school and you go
Mhm.
back to school and you figure it out and you get out of there. So that community that I had from my aunt and my grandmother, even after my mother passed, they took my sister in, right? Like they packed up the house that we were losing, that was going into foreclosure. My grandmother packed up the house and moved everything into her house, and it was just like such a community. I come from such amazing women. Oh my goodness,
Mhm.
like the women, I love the women that are surrounding Chanel. It is, when they say you stand on the shoulders of giants, I absolutely. Some of them are my age, some of them are in their 70s, some of them are in their 50s, some of them are in their 30s. Like the community of women that I have around me is unmatched. And that is why um, I work to show up for other people and encourage other people and not just put my stuff on other people, right? Because
Mhm.
we're always dealing with something. So community of women is absolutely who has continued to move me and drive me.
I mean, thank you for sharing all that. It's also so great to hear that not only in school that you had the support, but even your family, that they're great role models sharing with you of being so giving and thinking of you and setting you up for success for your life. That's amazing to see because then you're nurturing like your own community too.
Yeah, 100%. So blessed.
Well, it sounds like it's also such a everything you just mentioned is a lot of transformation during that time at such a young age too. So I'm curious to hear when it comes to as you think of how you are now and how you're thriving, like how has this transformation shaped who you are today and like what does like thriving mean to you?
Well, that's good. How has it shaped me today? I would say it's shaped me by I believe nothing is wasted, right? There's
Mhm.
nothing that we go through within this life that is wasted.
Yeah.
In the Bible, it talks about everything works together for the greater good or for the good of those that believe in Him. And again, that faith component of it and believing that everything that I've gone through, no matter how traumatic, um, has a purpose within my life. So I always try to find a sense of purpose in everything that I'm doing.
Mhm.
And as you know, even at work,
Yeah.
I can't work somewhere that I feel has no purpose. I have to
Mhm.
create a purpose out of something. And it probably drives people crazy about me. It's like, girl, it's just this. Like, just do that. And I'm like, it has to have a purpose. Like, everything just has to have a purpose. Everything is a little bit deeper sometimes than we think it is. And so, because I operate that way, I am able to infuse meaning into my day to day life, right? I'm able to give things purpose. As a mother, I believe my children have purpose, and my role as a mother has a purpose tied to it. As an employee, it has purpose tied to it. As a friend,
Mhm.
as a founder, it has purpose tied to it. One of the ways that I've been able to evolve is using that purpose. Pep Talks and Prayers, the app that we mentioned
Yeah.
earlier, it came out of during the pandemic. During the pandemic, when we were all at home and we couldn't go anywhere, and I was confined to like four walls all the time, I felt my light draining out of me because I wasn't able to interact.
Mhm.
I couldn't see a purpose. I wasn't in the best situation. I was going through a transition from a relationship standpoint with my ex-husband. I was going through a transition in my work. My son was at home because of the pandemic, and the world was just like in disarray, right? At the same
Right.
time. So based off of that, I was like, I know it's other people that are dealing with this. Like, how can I create a community that I own, right? That's not
Mhm.
social media, because I love social media, but we don't own what we put on social media, quite honestly, right? The
Mhm.
platform owns that. So I wanted to create my own platform. And that is where Pep Talks and Prayers came from. And so I've been able to morph again my mindset, my positive mindset and thinking and faith into this app and organically 400 plus people continue to subscribe and share Pep Talks and Prayers and add their own inspirational sayings and prayers to this app
Mhm.
community. So that is one way that I've been able to like evolve that into where I am right now. That is from a founder perspective. And then, like I said, on a day to day perspective in the workplace, it really is about finding purpose in what I do every day.
I love that, and I could definitely vouch that I see you aligning to purpose and talking about how that's important for you, so I don't find it annoying, I love that about you. And I'm
Appreciate
glad
that.
and I'm glad you shared about the app too, because another question I was going to ask was about what are some of your thriving habits? Like, what are steps or habits that help you thrive after transformation? Because transformation and change is never easy. So, just being able to think about what are the things in your routine that have helped you on your journey.
Yeah, surrounding yourself with positivity is really important. I
Mm,
have this pretty background behind me,
yeah,
but
I
my
love it.
house is similar. All of these plants that looks like life, this picture wouldn't look the same without those living plants
Mm,
being included within that room, right? The energy that it brings is very different. And I'm very big on energy. I do not
mm,
put up with negative energy. I do not put up with chaotic environments. And so my habits are around creating a space where I feel at peace and center.
mm,
So I do that in my home by having 20, 30 plants to take care of. I do that within my morning routine, being grateful and thanking God for waking me up in the morning.
mm,
Journaling is really important to me, as I mentioned. These things probably already, if you've made it this far in the conversation, all of this is going to make sense to you that I do these things, right? Because it was a part of what I did when I was younger anyway. Like these are things that I kind of just always have done. I didn't know what it was at the time. I
mhm,
didn't know why I was journaling, right? But maybe I couldn't talk to my mother. So I scribbled it down. But it has helped me stay centered. And when you feel stuck and you're not sure about what to do or what to say, prayer journals,
mhm,
just regular life journals are very important. Lighting candles, surrounding yourself around people who pour into you positively, people who have positive things going on with themselves, I think is really important as well, is that we are the people that we associate with. So I
mhm.
think that is also another component. Reading, podcast, going to church, listening to YouTube videos. Like I do the whole shebang, quite honestly, as much as I can, because I believe that we're always battling negativity. I don't think
Mhm. Yeah.
there's a time period where we're not. Like the messages that are coming at you on a regular basis can be saying you're not pretty enough, you're not small enough, you're not rich enough, you're not, smart enough, like you don't have enough, you just need more. Like all the messages that come at us on a regular basis are really trying to dismantle our self-esteem and our faith. So you have to be so strategic and
Mhm.
so intentional about investing positivity into yourself, similar to what you're doing with Summer, right? Like she doesn't know that you're doing that, but it's going to be second nature to her when she grows up. That negative
Right,
things
when she's
are
like
going to
our age.
happen, and she's
Yeah,
just going to naturally like gravitate towards
yeah.
positive things, and they're probably going to think she's delusional, and that's okay because she's going to be happy. So
Yeah,
I was
we're not delusional. Even when you're saying willful delusion, I'm like, it's hope and positivity. But
Yeah, there you go.
even as you're talking, I love that you have all of these thriving habits already integrated into your life, like a whole menu of options. And I think that's really great because a lot of people who are stuck don't know where to get started. So it's great that you have all these things. And for everyone listening, know that it doesn't have to be like one thing. You can try different things and explore. And I definitely agree with you where we're facing so much negativity or chaos and mean people out there in the world. And it actually aligns to a conversation I just had yesterday with my daughter. And even though she's only 3, I still said this to her where at bedtime I start doing affirmations with her. And then yesterday, after we did affirmations like I'm strong, I'm beautiful, and I'm kind, I actually mentioned to her, I was like, the reason I'm sharing these affirmations with you is that there are going to be mean people and not nice and negativity out there in the world. And no matter what, we have to bring out kindness and love and joy and peace and to everyone around us. And she like nodded her head, was like, okay. So in my head, I'm like, I hope she understands. Cause like you said, I'm like, I don't know if she understands all of this, but I'm like, I'm gonna keep doing it and repeat and sharing because it's so
Yes.
important to equip ourselves and be intentional.
So important, so important. And that's I can't tell you how important that has been for me, and that is why I do it with my sister, right? Like I do it with
Hmm.
my son, I do it with my younger cousins, I do it with my nieces. Like I do
Well,
it
and your
because
mom did that with you with the books, and I love
exactly.
that. Like that's that version back then. I'm like, do they even sell those books anymore? I'm like, I
I know, that's what I said when
gotta
I
look
go
for
to
them.
like the Goodwill, I'll go to a Goodwill or
Yeah.
something. And she kept me in, I don't, nobody uses goes here anymore, but Barnes and Nobles. Like we would
Oh,
have
yeah.
mommy
Mhm.
daughter dates and we would go to Barnes and Nobles and we would just sit there and we would just go through the books. And that was a part of that's a core memory that I have
That's
with my mother. I
amazing.
grew up in a house that had, pictures, plants, books, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like it was a certain type of way. So I am very much a reflection of who my mother is. I am her 3.0 because of course I didn't agree with everything that my mother did. So I'm not gonna
Of
get on here
course.
and laugh at y'all. But the things, and I think that's in life, right? You take the
Yeah.
good things, like you take the good things and you use that and you optimize
Mhm.
those and you infuse those in your life. And then, everything else, you give it back. Like you give it back. You do not have to hold on to anything that is negative. Learn the lesson in the person, learn the lesson in the situation, take that, release everything else. And I guarantee you growth happens to that. A lot of times people
Yeah.
don't grow because they don't release the negativity of
Right.
what
You have to let
happens
go
in
of like what doesn't serve you anymore. So that's a great reminder.
you have
And
to.
well, in addition to letting go of things that don't serve you, you also have to make time to celebrate yourself. And I know I always remind you of that, like, let's celebrate. So curious to hear, how do you celebrate or acknowledge your growth and success?
So we know that this is a challenge for Chanel.
Oh, I know.
I don't know why it is a challenge for me. So it's actually something that I'm working on in with my therapist,
Hmm.
is figuring out how to celebrate more. And I would say again, being fully transparent is how I celebrate myself is, just allowing myself to be, right? Like allowing myself to rest is a celebration for me.
Hmm.
Saying no is a
Yeah.
celebration for me. Prioritizing Chanel is a celebration for me. I really love doing things like nature walks and planning a good vacation is a celebration. I'll say that planning a good vacation, which I have one coming up, is a celebration for me. So just celebrating for the sake of celebrating, I think I try to live my life on purpose, and living my life on purpose honestly is a gift for me. Right. And
Hmm.
that's a celebration for me. So that's all I got. That's the only piece of
Well,
celebration.
that's a lot already. I was like, what are you talking about? It sounds like you're already doing it. You're celebrating yourself with all these different things.
Well,
And
good. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I think it's more like within each day or even if it's weekly of just acknowledging all that you've done too for yourself. Because it sounds like you're already doing it and then just taking that time to slow down and then take a few seconds to celebrate what are you grateful for about something that you have done for yourself.
Yes, I love that, Jess. And I think it also helps to have, and I'm gonna shout you out, is having an accountability partner.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
Jess, you are amazing, right? Like you are, I love how you bring out the best within people that are around you, even when you're on your own journey. That's what
Yeah.
I think is so beautiful is that you bring people on the journey with you. And a
Mhm.
lot of people don't do that, right? Like a lot of people go on journeys and they grow in silos
Right.
because they're afraid of the judgment or they're afraid of people not like interacting or reciprocating the energy that they have. And you give energy in this space regardless. Like you are going to
Mhm.
create a community of accountability and information sharing. And you have personally helped me grow over the last 2 years to reflect on my accomplishments, but also sharing and being public about sharing my journey with other people. So thank you so much for this platform. Thank you for being a good friend. Thank you for being a good leader within the corporate environment because we need more people like you across the
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that because it's important for us to celebrate together. There's so many wins, even if we don't always see it in the moment, and that's why I want to continue to have these kind of conversations where we need to stop with this hustle culture of always like go, go, go on autopilot and really stop, pause, and be really intentional about what are we doing? Why are we doing it? Who we're surrounding ourselves with, making sure we're aligning to like our own why and mission of our own purpose in life.
Yes, yes, 100%. Thank you so much for this.
Yeah, you're welcome. I appreciate you. And just a few more questions is to wrap up is for you to share some resources with our audience of, if there's any favorite habits, tools, or resources that have helped you with your maintaining your momentum during your journey.
Resources would be it's not specific, but therapy. I
Mm,
absolutely recommend therapy.
absolutely.
Check out Grow Therapy. I've found two very amazing therapists for myself and for my son using Grow Therapy, and it's a virtual therapy platform. So therapy is one. I would also say, in terms of resources, um, books that I've read have been incredibly helpful with navigating the journey. The Alchemist is a really strong book. If you like novels within that capacity, I would say read The Alchemist. Read Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich. I know it sounds like it's talking about money, but it really is a mindset book, quite honestly. Those will be my three right now. If I have any more, I will share them with you.
Okay.
I I'm constantly reading, quite honestly. Like, I'm constantly reading things that are unique to my industry, but then things that also just feed my soul and feed my spirit, right? I would say find things that feed your soul and feed your spirit, even if you have them on in the background. A good
Mhm.
YouTube channel. I love Sarah Jakes Roberts. She is TD Jakes' daughter, and so she has started her own ministry, and she has a overcomer story as well that I really resonate with. And so she has been another resource. She has a few different books, one called Power Moves, and I can't remember the other one off the top of my head, but definitely just surround yourself with positivity in all aspects of it.
We'll make sure to also include links to those in the episode so that people will have the reference to the resource. And then the last question I have for you is what is one message, mantra, or advice that you'd like to leave people with, especially those who are struggling to take that first step into their own transformation?
One thing that I say all the time is nothing forced, everything flowing.
Mm,
It is something that I say during meditation, nothing forced, everything flowing. And the purpose behind that is don't force it. You don't force it. Make yourself aware of the opportunities, right? If the opportunity presents itself, then that means it was meant for you to have within that space. Step into it. Also realize that you will not be fully equipped with everything that you need to thrive for the next level. The
mhm.
opportunity is in the preparation and the doing of that thing. So don't allow fear to stop you from flowing into something that was really meant to be fruitful in your life, because you're allowing this fear of failure to talk you out of it. We talk ourselves out of many blessings because of the stories that we tell ourselves. So nothing forced, everything flowing. Realize that you will not be 100% prepared for the next level that you're meant to go to, but you will be prepared within that moment as you take on that assignment.
That was so beautiful. And thank you so much for just being on this episode today. It was really an inspiring conversation and a reminder that transformation begins when we embrace our challenges. And I love what you're saying about failing fast and not being afraid of failure to really prepare, take time to prepare yourself and for people to be able to hear your story, to learn from the setbacks and take action to move forward. So thank you again for being on, joining us for Transform and Thrive. And if for everyone listening, if today's episode resonated with you, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who can benefit from hearing the story, and subscribe to the channel for more stories of growth and empowerment. Thank you, Chanel.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too.